welcome to the show. I'm Sunny D,
And I'm Captain J,
and
and
we're
we're
the
the
Pod
Pod
Smoking
Smoking
Moms.
Moms. Oh man, I'm so glad to be here today with you guys. I need this. How's it going, D?
I'm doing good. I'm doing better now that we ripped a little bong, a Rooney.
Prepared for this episode.
Hope you guys at home were able to also rip a bong, a Rooney as well, or
Yeah.
take a little puffy puffy.
And I will take another puffy puffy during this as well.
Yes, go for it. Hey, this is interview number 15. Interview
Yeah.
episode. We have a special guest we got to meet locally a few weeks back at Pretty High Club, the holiday party. It
That
was
was
so
so
much,
awesome.
it was lots of
We
fun.
had so much fun and to just run into her like that. Like what's
Y-
crazy is we've been following her for years and she just came over to take a picture, right?
right. And so we started talking and we were like, oh, Cannalatino. And we're
We're
like,
like,
yo, we've been
we
following
follow
you for the
you.
longest. She's heavy in the community, and those parties are always great for people who like they
Network.
roll by town. Yeah, they network or they stop. A lot of people stop in Miami, they have family or they have a second home here, whatever. And we were able to run into her and say, hey, we need you on the show. We want you to tell our
Yeah.
friends about Latino and all the
Yes.
awesome things you're part of.
As soon as we realized who she was, we're like, oh my goodness, you got to come on the podcast.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we had lots of fun that day.
we did.
So Danielle Ceruti, she's founder of Cannalatino. She's going to be on the show today. She's a Latina cannabis activist, educator, and cannabis mom who's dedicated her career to destigmatizing cannabis and promoting its medicinal benefits within the Latinx community. We had a really awesome discussion with her. We talk about how she used cannabis to treat her son's, who was diagnosed on the autism
Autism. Mm-hmm.
spectrum, while she herself was managing PTSD and fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about being
And not only did
neurodivergent.
yeah, and not only did she treat her son with it, but she helped pass legislation to allow autism to be one of the qualifying conditions. Like she's a big activist, a big part of this community, and
Yeah.
especially representing and letting Latinos get the education because there's not like she said there's not a lot of education available in Spanish.
Right. And I feel like a lot of times, speaking the same language, you get to meet people on their level and you're able to, even just feel a little bit more comfortable
A
talking
hundred
about
percent.
subject matter like this, like cannabis. We had lots of fun with Danielle. Here's her interview. We hope you enjoy it. So what brought you here? How did you start with cannabis from the beginning? Like when was it that you started and what got you interested in that?
Well, I was first introduced with cannabis when I moved from Miami to Colorado, looking for a better quality of life for my son. My son is in the spectrum of autism, and he is already a successful story because when I moved to Colorado, I started having issues myself. Well, I was also PTSD, fibromyalgia. So when I moved to Colorado, I had a heavy prescription of opioids because that's pretty much what they give you when you say you're in chronic pain.
Mhm.
Like there's no other option. And I have real PTSD. I'm not saying that anybody else that's had PTSD doesn't have PTSD, but I have a very followed by therapists, like documented PTSD for a lot of things since I was little. So in that point, all the medications is like you're in the top of the medication. They offer me electroshock. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
Electric shock. Wow.
And electroshock, and that's gonna be on my new book, How to Escape from a Psychiatric Place with Weed. because I'm sorry. Because honestly, what happened, like when you're on top of all the medications, the doctors doesn't have any answers. So I was going in a hospital. I was inside and out to a hospital having pain medication and pain treatment with Percocet. I'm not kidding. going to emergency, having Percocet and Benadryl in my vein because that was the only way to remove my migraines.
Wow.
And I think I had like 2 3 months that I live in Colorado. That I was living in Colorado, and I have that treatment like 4 or 5 times sometimes during the month. So the people from the hospital, I bought the house next to a hospital all the time because I was in the hospital all the time and coming out with heroin. So I need to live close.
Yeah.
So this is, like I was one night there with my mom waiting for me. My husband was in the house with the kids. And I was, like I know what I'm gonna do. They're gonna put the Percocet, they're gonna put the Benadryl, they're gonna let me sleep for 45 minutes, and I go back home. And when I was loopy, one doctor get into the room and told me, "You live in a state where cannabis is legal. Please look for help because we are killing you."
Oh my God. Thank goodness for that doctor. There's not enough doctors out there that encourage cannabis medicine. That is fantastic.
That was actually the beginning. So I was, like so concentrated with my whole kid therapy, my pain, his process, my younger daughter, like because we have that like a whole life. So I was just so involved on that and letting life happen. But the next day, I was in a cannabis doctor because I was lucky enough to live in Boulder, Colorado. And I have the best center for women, for pain, for fibromyalgia, for PTSD with Dr. Cohen in Boulder. And I start seeing myself. And then I start also treating my kid because when I start talking about, like how I ended up that burnout, because that's what I was, like I was totally burned out and they were putting drugs on me to make it a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So for me, it really saved my life. Cannabis, I will be dead. Honestly, I know for with that medication that I had, I would not last another year, and that was
Let
11 years ago.
11 years ago. And
Wow.
let me ask you, when you walked into the center in Colorado, what did they suggest? Like, did they give you a plan of things to use, or did they just say, here, it's what we have? And
Yes, no. The amount of knowledge that I found, again, I was so blessed that I was in Colorado. I was in the perfect time at the perfect moment.
yeah,
2000, 2013, the beginning of the legalization.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it was, like that moment where all the information was right there. They were all the moms, like Paige Fiji from the Charlotte's mom, who was, like they were fighting for the rights of the kids. So it was incredible the amount of information that I was able to find. I love it, and I make it at my purpose. That's exactly how it happened. I start feeling better. I start getting my kid feeling amazing because it was like a witchcraft, honestly. With his case, 6 months of cannabis did what 9 years of Ritalin, Adderall, Stratera, Bupropion. I can name
really.
all that we try.
When did you realize that cannabis may have was an option for your son, and what ways does cannabis help? What symptoms with autism? As you said, it was autism that he's on the spectrum.
He's under the spectrum, and I'm also under the spectrum. I was diagnosed when I was 27,
Mm-hmm.
um, 28 actually, because my son was 7 when he was diagnosed. And in the same process, the neurologist was like, well, you also have a lot, so that's going to be challenged. And it was very challenging to grow up with that. But for me, again, since the beginning of this diagnosis, we start looking for therapy, coping skills, and a lot of things, but the medication was not getting there. So, like you say, when I walk into this center, into this beautiful, super educated place, because it was not like in California, where you go in the middle of the beach and get your license. Like there's places like that also in Colorado. But I think everybody knows about the California ones in Venice Beach that I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That they like, oh yeah, you have back pain, take your medication. This was a doctor who had like 5 books written about the endocannabinoid system. He started teaching me, not because he wants me to be her disciple. He teach me because I was a patient and I need the right to know about the first non-lethal medication that we have. And as a mom, like having that and giving my son so many things, so many medications that was putting him in so many risks with so horrible side effects. For me, this was unbelievable.
It's a game
You know,
changer.
exactly. And
Mm.
it was like that. Again, 6 months of cannabis did what 9 years of Ritalin never did.
You know
Wow.
what? And it's so interesting to go back to like getting diagnosed too. A lot of moms get diagnosed older because it doesn't
A
show
lot
up
of
so
women in
much.
general, a lot of women
Yeah,
get diagnosed late in life because it gets unnoticed in our childhood. Like
right.
because
And
And
why
we
I
it
say
tried.
presents differently. It presents differently in young girls than it does in young boys.
And we know
it
how to
does.
try. We're prepared to be the heart of the house, be the heart of the tribe.
Yeah, we
So we
mask.
really don't have a time to say, I don't get it. Like you have to go and
R-
do it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And usually,
Women are
and
better at
usually,
masking, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, for sure, absolutely. And on top of that, when you have a kid yourself, you can see the differences of the human. Like even like I have 2 kids. It opened my mind up so much more to just see how different they are and think like I always thought, oh yeah, you guys grew up in the same family, you guys get the same experience, and it's not the case at all. And it's just everybody is so different. But it's like sometimes too I feel like having your kid activates some of that neurodivergence, and then you start to kind
No.
of it reflects and you can see it in your kid, and then when you go to give the care to your kid and they notice that they're neurodivergent and they go, hey,
Oh, you got a
you
little
are
bit in you
too,
too.
yeah.
By
And
the way, you kind of might be too.
it is
I
beautiful because that's a process that we didn't have before. Like our parents didn't have the chance to experience being accepted for being neurodivergent, to have, like
Yeah.
neurodivergent, to be neurodivergent, because that was a word that I don't even know how to pronounce well, like you see, but
Hmm.
also it doesn't exist when I was a
right.
kid.
Exactly.
I totally know that I was kicked out by every single school that you can imagine, because I was, like typical ADHD kid, moving all over the place, but super smart, and everybody was thinking that I was joking. that
Yeah.
I, wanted- that
You
I
just
was
couldn't stop talking. You couldn't stop socializing or something. Yeah.
and moving and fidgeting, like I'm all I'm all about this. So I'm pretty sure that my parents, that a lot of doctors told my parents that something was going on, but
They're
like
like,
I,
that's just,
yeah,
they shrug it off. That's just, I was
uh,
like that too when I was a kid. It's fine.
yeah,
and
my
it's amazing.
mom would say, es que tú haces muchas cosas.
Exacto. Qué tremenda. La niña tremendísima. Yeah, it's totally what happened. Like we are the terrible Dennis the Dement and all the kids that are like super spunky. Bart Simpson, like,
Yeah, yeah.
they need more, again, therapy, people who understand neurodivergent. And that is the key, like I think understand that we are not thinking the same way, any of us, we are not feeling the same way, and we have to act from the compassion, because we don't know who had a good day, who had a bad day, who's on what medication, because here in the United States with the amount of heroin that I'm pretty sure that it's not coming from the frontiers because I've been having my Percocet, Oxycontin when I fractured this arm, and 3 years ago I have fentanyl. 10 years of difference, the same crisis that we have outside. And I didn't went to Mexico to have those. This was in Vail, Colorado, and this one in Castle Rock as well. Like
Oh
Colorado.
wow.
So it's like it's the medications that we're having, the lack of information, and for me that is the key. And then knowing these beautiful plants, the benefits that it has, the wonders that it can do for humanity, I think it really gave me a purpose. And I love that I start and still am in this beautiful industry because it's really start from the heart, from the mothers, that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, all the
absolutely.
moms that flocked to Colorado to get the medicine they needed for their kids and really fighting for their kids to be able to have access. Because, like you said, like I know people think, oh, they're just a bunch of potheads, whatever. But no, it is a miracle plant. It helps in so many ways, and it's proven by science. The endocannabinoid system, it were literally built to receive cannabinoids into our body, and it's to help us stay balanced. So obviously it's going to help in all sorts of different ailments. So like it's just a matter of having these conversations, and that's great that you found it, and now you're having these conversations and you do kind of Latino. How did kind of
Now
Latino
you're
come about?
advocating.
Yeah.
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 Well, I think we were going to the same path to the conversation naturally because that's exactly my purpose. I find out, I start researching because, again, under the spectrum of autism, I have fixations, and my
Hmm.
fixations are study. And I need to know why it is this and what happened. And I ended up, like learning a lot and realizing that there was no education in Spanish. All the information is in English, or like in other languages, because also in other countries have different legalizations and we're able to have different research, but nothing in Spanish. So in one of the case, well, my kid was one of the cases. Like when you say we advocate, my kid was one of the cases why autism is one of the conditions that is treated in Colorado. It's not in Colorado, but it comes from Colorado to all the United States. Why we can treat autism with cannabis. He was one of the cases that they take in consideration. I testify for that with science. Like I said, I called to Israel, to Dr. Rafael Mechulan. I talked, and until he died, he was my friend. We emailed each other, you know. And for the people who's out there who doesn't know who he was a doctor from Israel who isolated for the first time the molecule of THC and CBD. And his partner, Lumir Hanous, I went to Mexico and I went up to the Teotihuacan pyramid with him. He
That's
discovered,
amazing.
he was the one that discovered the endocannabinoid system. So,
Yeah.
like I say, my fixation go to the end of the source, and I need to know what's happening.
That's amazing.
So, Cannalatino, again, I start posting things like that, and a lot of people start asking me in my Facebook, and then I just start this account because, again, it's the lack of the information. So we turn it on. We ended up being the first channel of communication and education for the Latino community about cannabis, and we've been able to educate a lot of families, help a lot of patients, and make this bigger and bigger every day.
Yeah, it's community. And, a lot of times too, it's getting to know your community and who's involved. And a great thing too is you
Learning
find
about
people,
access.
yeah, learning about access and just being able to talk to people who love the plant so much that they're willing to do anything for it and advocate for it. And, that's so amazing.
And it's really important. Not everybody does it because again, it's not easy. This is something that we have to talk about. It is the social equity for the Latinos.
Yeah.
We are 77 of the sentences for marijuana in the United States. And when we talk about people of color, we're talking about Latinos.
I
The
Yeah.
mean,
majority,
marijuana is called marijuana because of Latinos.
Right.
yeah. Well, there's so many stories about that, but yeah, the terrible name, the horrible name that they know was because in Mexico they was calling like marijuana, but in many other places there's also places that they call it the Rose of Mary because of the healing properties that this plant has. We have to remember that this plant also was the first plant that we domesticate. The fact that we have an endocannabinoid system means that we've been eating and getting this plant with us since the beginning of the time. I don't know, and I don't want to offend anyone out there with their beliefs, but that is also my belief and my right to believe in evolution. And I can prove scientifically today that the fact that we have an endocannabinoid system, like other animals and some fishes, like mean that we eat these plants since we were other species and we evolved to have this endocannabinoid because this plant has been with us for all the time and we know how to use it. If you go to Barcelona and you go to the Puerto de Palos where Cristobal Colon get out from Spain to go to the Americas, the sculpture that they have, it have full of cannabis leaves because by that time, if you wanted to travel by the sea, you need to take a cannabis plant so you can have
The
seeds,
sales.
the wood, the fabric, like in less than 3 months, you will have a crop that it will help you to fix your boat, whatever you need.
Yeah,
So
so many parts of the boats, the sails, the ropes, everything was made from hemp. So like
yeah, we have to remember that this illegalization only have 100 years, and
so
like
small time in our history.
exactly less than 100 years. I think this is the year that is gonna be 100. Uh, or we're around to be there. But it's crazy that we only have that little time, and we believe, and we have so much fear. Like that's the power of communication.
Exactly. That's why we need to up the communication about the education out there because and it's amazing that you're doing it particularly in the Latin community because I don't know, at least for us growing up, it was very stigmatized to be smoking cannabis because you don't want to be doing anything illegal in this country that we immigrated to that's going to get
Right.
us, you know?
Yeah.
And
And
again, not just that, because
only criminals do that. We don't do that, you know?
exactly, go
I
to
still
jail.
haven't told Abuelita about this podcast. My mom knows about it. My tia knows about it. All my family knows about it. But Abuelita, I don't know. She's 93. I don't know.
Yes, maybe Abuelita remember how her grandma used to make the alcohol with marijuana for pain and all those things, like, but they don't get that it's the same plant that it was illegalized. That's the
That's the
problem.
power of the Reefer Madness campaign.
It's been so crazy, and everybody's telling so many things. I remember once I was in a conference in Mexico, and I took an Uber, and the Uber asked me, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I'm going to a conference for marijuana." And he was like, "My best friend died for marijuana." And I was like, "Whoa,
What?
ever in history
Ever
died
heard
for
that?
This
marijuana?" And
is
he
Right.
told
unheard of. You must be studied. This case must be
exactly.
studied.
I was
What is
like,
this?
give me the name of the family. I'm gonna go again. I go deep. You know how I go. I go the rabbit hole all the way.
I need names. I need numbers.
Exactly. Where is it? Your best friend, what's the name? What is the ID number? Everything. Who was the doctor in which clinic he died? Can make the whole plot in a second. But then I start again asking, but did he smoke weed? Or he was getting, like something from the weed? Because I also even thought he was smoking weed and it was laced with fentanyl, whatever, like.
Or
That
Right.
was
or that fake synthetic weed K2 or whatever, that horrible shit people
horrible,
get.
horrible, horrible. No, 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 don't do that. So yes, there's a reason why the plant is a plant and it's easy. Like we don't, doesn't have to be that hard. So the explanation for how his friend died from marijuana was the best one. It was
God.
because he was doing other drugs, but in Mexico you call it marijuana to everyone who do any type of drug. So you can do cocaine and you are a marijuana. You can do K and you are a marijuana.
No. So what was he really doing? What drug was it really that killed him? Like some kind of opioid, like fentanyl or
Yes,
oxy
totally.
or a
He was
pill.
he was into the hardcore side of the road, which is terrible because again,
Sad.
we also have antidotes for those.
But it's the gateway drug. It's the stigma of it being the gateway drug. When we
And
all
after
have
talking to
learned
so many
it's
people,
the exit drug. It has gotten
right.
people off so many hard drugs. It's gotten
Yeah.
people alcoholics to stop drinking. It's gotten opioid addicts to
Cigarettes.
stop doing it. Cigarettes, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And prescription drugs. You can get off of so many different pharmaceutical pills as
And
you experience.
that's why it's so scary.
Yeah, because it's gonna put a lot of people out of money.
Yes.
Yeah, right now they're just scrambling to see how they can make as much money off of
For
it
sure.
before they make it fully legal for us.
Right.
Like, where do you think cannabis legalization is headed here
Well,
in this country and abroad?
And of course, I think there's going to be somehow some way of legalization, but like you said before, they need to find a way to
To
control
make their
it.
money.
And that is, I think, the part that is still wiggling, wiggling, wiggling. And that's why you see that every state go and legalize and go back and forward. And now Colorado cannot have, like smoke shop, but the other ones cannot have the eating restaurants. And, like California also approved the restaurants, but now we're not going to have smoke shop. It's, like, it's a whole crazy try and error
Yeah.
that we are doing, but definitely it's something that is going to be legalized as soon as the people who needs the money figure it out how to make it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why it didn't pass this year here in Florida for recreational. It's because Ron DeSantis still hasn't
'Cause
figured a way to
he
get his
was.
slimy
I
hand
think
on
I
it.
think he's making money off the medical market somehow.
Yeah?
And that's yes. I feel like he's making money already somehow on the medical side, and he didn't see how the recreational was going to help him. And I guess those people on the rec side didn't grease his pockets enough to get him on board. Because now that rec got squashed here in Florida, medical enrollment has skyrocketed back up. People are
Right.
now starting to enroll into the medical
I
program.
think
People were
everybody just
slowing
held
down and
off.
stopping.
Right.
Yeah, because they thought rec was coming. People that were patients were even like just letting their thing expire, and now it's going back up because who knows, maybe all the clinics or all the companies that benefit off of getting people enrolled as patients or the medical, I don't know, maybe they
Taxes.
taxes.
Maybe taxes is the key, and that's exactly
It's
the key also
100%.
for the recreational as well, because the amount of money, for example, in Colorado, we do more money for cannabis than for beer and chocolate.
And it's still somehow cheaper than it is out here.
Oh
For
no, totally. For medical, it's a dream. This is too. Florida is super expensive. I'm a medicinal patient here, and I'm a medicinal patient as well in Colorado. I'm able to have the two cards because since I have two places, I have to
But
live in two places comfortable for my with my condition.
let me ask you this. Did you see the market change in Colorado? Did you see like the big guys come up and put a lot of people out of business, like and then the prices get really competitive, or what had happened out there?
The problem with that, and again, yes, I'm also part of a movie called Mary Jane's Woman of Wheat. Beautiful documentaries of how women start this uh, industry that we have today. And it was the first time that women were able to have more than 12% of control of any industry. So that is scary. But cannabis has been the higher industry that we're having control. Right now, of course, they kick us out of, already, but we're still good COOs and working on it. But in that moment, of course, you see that because that's exactly what's gonna happen. The problem here in Florida also was that no one was paying attention, no one was taking serious when the licenses came. Sorry to tell you that, but it was true. It was like, no, yeah, it's gonna be impossible. And yes, it was almost impossible because you have to have more than 25 years growing anything
And you gotta
legal.
have like $20 million or more.
Exactly. And five of those were just the application. They were never going to be refundable. You know, like that was not, and you have to have a certain amount of millions more in the bank to prove the, the stability of your company. That's something that happened, of course, completely different from Colorado. Colorado, like California, was like these kids that they were 18 and they tell the parents, I'm going to turn the garage into a grower. Yeah, baby, don't worry, do it. And it happened in the West in a farm, and the family start growing. And they sell that farm that maybe was cost, I don't know, they made an investment for $500,000. They sell it after 4 years in $3 million, $4 million to the big companies because they know what to do with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are the only companies. That's another reality that they are going to be able to pay the taxes and negotiate like a Starbucks. This is not new. you know,
Yeah.
negotiate the taxing and all the things because right now, for example, what is happening in Colorado is that taxes are so high that they're almost the value of the business.
Oh. So
It's a
people are
lot.
breaking even just because it costs so much to keep that going?
Uh huh.
Yeah, because
For
the
the
prices, I mean, when we went, the prices were, and I'm talking about RSO, some great RSO for
products.
so cheap. Yeah, and out here, 1 gram of RSO on sale is like $30. Out there it was like $15.
Yes. No, and in flowers, so let me start with flowers.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I
Amazing.
have, yeah, no, no, no. Like I can found ounces. Also, I have a bigger amount of buying in Colorado. So I can buy 20 ounces in one.
The
So
restrictions in Florida are
Oh,
ridiculous.
I
exactly.
know.
But with this, I can also find my ounces very cheap as well because I can buy, I can, like buy for my whole thing and I can do my edibles and I can here is I have to have the edibles that they have. They have nothing without sugar, which cause inflammation in my case. Like
So you
so
can't have
Yeah.
any sugar?
I try not to. I prefer not to have sugar. And if you have a patient with cancer, where you have also research that THC create apoptosis, which is the suicidal cell on THC, on cancer cells, and that's a research that it is for everybody in the La Complutense in Spain from Dr. Cristina Sanchez. Like if you have patients that you need to alkalinize the diet, that you need to, in cancer patients, for example, you cannot give them gummies.
Yeah.
what is gummies is gonna, like gummies is gonna feed those cells. Like, no, baby, let's do it.
That's why
And one
RSO is
thing,
good.
exactly, but not everybody, like knows how to dosage. Not everybody, like there, there's
Yeah, it's
no
not an easy. Yeah, not easy
there's
to
no
take for.
option here for patients, and it's, again, it is a human right that you can have the right medication. That's why in Colorado we have also extra ounces for the patients that consume, like me, for example, that I use most of my ounces for edibles. So,
Yeah, you need to buy in bulk for that.
mhm.
Um, do you find different strains work better for to treat neurodivergence or any specific like?
Yes, 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 yes. I love that question because it is absolutely one of my, I think, homemade research. And I also work in a clinic in Colorado with a clinic as a cannabis coach with patients, with real
You get
patients.
you get direct feedback from people then.
Exactly. So we are, and we do actually research with all the feedback that we have with our patients as well. So I love that I can always recommend, for example, when you have, in the case of the autism, everybody's like thinking that you need to give kids indicas because you need to calm down. But the reality is that when you are trying to give them medication, real medication, for the ADHD or for autism, like Ritalin. Those are, and Adderall. Adderall is one molecule away from meth.
Yeah,
We are
speed.
not give them anything to calm them down naturally. Come on, we're not
Yeah.
trying. So why do we have to give him an indica? And everybody failed because of that. You need to give a high sativa, the higher sativa that you have. And if you can find strains, for example, like golden goat or Durban poison, I find Durban poison a lot here,
Human
and I found
poison.
in Vegas. Oh my god, I went to Vegas in November, and I get the best golden goat, and these are land raised. There are also the beautiful thing about these strains is they're strains that naturally have THCV. The THC is tetrahydrocannabinol, and the THCV is tetrahydrocannabivarin. But it's not the THCV that you can find in the smoke shops that it's turned with any citric thing from CBD. This is from marijuana, let's call it how it is. We need a marijuana plant with the Durban poison strain to have this wonderful cannabinoid that is also being used a lot in California for diets because it's
Yeah, it
an
suppresses.
antagonist. It
Yeah, it
suppresses.
suppresses your appetite. It's a good.
But in my case, I love it because I have also chronic nausea from a medication called Vibrate. So that's another thing where I use cannabis in my life because I have to wake and bake. I wake up with nausea. So, and they cannot give you Sofran or any other medication for the rest of your life. So I needed to have something that it can stop this, or I will gonna be, look how skinny I am. I'm not really getting weight because of this. I'm not getting any help with that. So with the THCV, I can also eat. So it depends. I don't have the munchies,
Yeah.
but it removed the nausea and I can have my natural appetite. So that is also some amazing things that I can, that I've been able to do with dosage, with real constance through doctors, like follow up with doctors with a real treatment, not just, hey, like you say, let's smoke pot, let's do this. I have a journal that I give also to all my patients that come to the clinic and get the medical license, and they have to follow that journal and come to me and call me, and like I'm there because they need to know what it's in their bodies, and part of that is what they have in the dispensaries. What is under, like under reach to have. So I think I always recommend the Durban Poison and the Golden Goat, and everybody comes with the journal like, yes, I don't know how you do it, but I was able to concentrate, and I spent 25 minutes reading a book or doing this, and I was like,
Is there any specific terp?
the lemonen, definitely, definitely the lemonen is your terpene when you want to get those super high effects, and it makes you feel also, like calm. The limonene is also being treated, being used to treat cancer as well. So it's a super good terpene. So everything that smells citric,
Yeah, I like super lemon haze. I feel like it helps me a lot.
anything that is uplifting, I'm down for the concentration. For me, it's like, yeah. And it's, for me, it's about the I think the best recommendation that I can give you, again, it's not just with the flower, with anything. Write down what you're taking, how much are you taking, how often are you taking it, and how it worked for you. So make a conscious decision of what you're going to put in your body, what is your right medication. Because a lot of people is like, I know this, it doesn't work for me, that's it. I don't like cannabis, and no. But it's because you need to really use
But it's
it,
trial and error.
and exactly, and understand. When you go to a psychiatric, to a psychiatrist, they give you, for example, lorazepam. They start with a dosage, and they go, call me next week and see how it goes. This is exactly the same. This is not far from a medication. It's the only one that is not going to kill you,
Yeah.
but it's still a medication.
Yes, still medicine.
You know what though too, and you know what I've noticed too is like the thing is that the strains change so often here that and that's something I can't stand because sometimes you find the strains that you really like,
And you can't get it all the time.
or you have to go to a different store to get it. Well, I mean that's the thing too. It's like, oh well, this is third world problems because like we could go to the store and buy weed. It's not really a problem,
Remember when we didn't
but
have options? It was just whatever
right.
the guy had.
Right. But like
And you are
now,
not from Venezuela, so let me tell you.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, before you had your medical problems and you were advised that cannabis may help you. What was your experience with weed before that? Did you have a relationship with cannabis at all? Had you tried it before? What was your opinion about it before?
Well, I tried it before when I was 18 with my mom. Like,
Oh,
yeah, my mom smoked pot.
okay,
She was a pot,
okay,
by definition called pothead.
yeah,
But she was
she's like me. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
but no, my mom was more like a cifri hippie.
Okay,
Like a super fresa girl. Also hippie.
love
Like,
it.
yeah. But then she had to grow up and have kids and confront the real world. And of course, she never talked about weed without anyone. But I knew that she smoked, and I was, like I was gonna try it, and I would say, well, who are you gonna try it better than your mom? Like what are you gonna you're gonna be more comfortable than anyone. And that's exactly what happened. But I didn't like it. So that day I love it because again it was with my mom. We went to the, oh my god, what was the name of the La Vaquita? Remember the place?
Yeah,
Oh, farm
the farm
stores,
The,
store,
the
the
farm
farm
stores,
stores.
exactly. To get like a pint of ice
Ice
cream
ice
cream.
and
cream. Oh
like,
my God! You know what? Back in the
So
day,
you did get
I
the effects. You got high with munchies.
totally,
that is
that was
awesome.
wonderful. That was, again, that first time with my mom. I totally recommend it.
That is the
Kids out
most
there,
amazing story
We
because
love
I
your
have
mom.
never heard anyone say the first time they smoked weed was with their mom. I've heard people
Yeah,
smoke with their mom eventually. Like I've smoked with my mom,
right.
but
But the
like wow,
first
the first
time,
time you smoked weed was with your
and it
mom.
being a good experience
It was a
too.
good experience. That's amazing.
and for me it was super cool. I remember when I was little, I was looking. Uh, I smoked cigarettes with my brother, and I was like 14 or 13, like something. And I was looking for a cigarette on my mom's purse, on one of the, like those purses that someone left there. And I was like, oh, she will have a cigarette because she also smokes. So, and I found a joint, and I was
Oh
like,
shit.
yes, my mom found it. Super
Even
cool.
better.
Exactly. I was like kicking out from every single Catholic school for my autism. Of course, I want something negative to relate with someone. Like I was looking for my tribe. And I told this to my sister, and my sister started crying. My mom went back from the house. She was in a dinner with my dad. I think I still, like I'm time out for this. I don't remember when they punished me, but it ended up being all my fault. And like why I was doing on my mom's first, looking for what. The invasion of privacy was the whole problem. And I was like, but I'm okay with this, like, but my sister cried so much and was so out of control the situation that I was like, whoa. But then I knew they were won't smoke. Like they
You're like,
tried to blame my
oh.
brother. I had a big brother, and they were like, no, this is we found it in
We
the
found it
car.
in your brother's room in his car, and I had it. I just put it away. I didn't throw it away. I decided I had to save the evidence so that
Exactly.
when I spoke to him about it later.
I love the way they think. It's cute. And of course, when I wanted to try it, I was I told my mom that it was like this the sweetest. She is the sweetest stoner. Uh, she needs to smoke more, actually. But hey, it is what it is. And after that, again, I never smoke again until I smoke again with a friend, and I didn't like it because he made me sleep. He put me in a couch potato state. I love the hungry. The munchie was the best, but I needed go to sleep right away. So
Yeah.
it was not my drug of choice. I grew up like every good American kid with alcohol and pills.
Yep. That sounds right.
Yeah, it's that it is what like what it
Yeah.
is. And cigarettes also. But
Mm-hmm.
again, it's I love that one of the side effects is that you don't want to drink anymore, that you don't want to, you really don't miss that with cannabis. And I love that these new generations are also are choosing better. I see my kids, and my kids are like, no, I don't want to be here. I prefer a joint. Let's have a hamburger and a joint. And like, or even with the decision, I'm the one who thinking the hamburgers, they're probably gonna come with an acai bowl and like all these
Kale
wonderful
salad
things
or something.
that are healthy for you that we didn't have a clue or we pay attention. Because again, we were also too concentrated raising them. So
Mm-hmm.
it's valid.
They're so lucky. They don't know how it is, growing up
Yeah.
trying to, or like living, like, okay, so I started smoking weed young, but I've been smoking weed for a long time now. And only within the last, what, 10 years has it been easier to do it? Not even 10 years. Before then, it was such a hassle to try to find cannabis because it wasn't legal. And now with this access, you see it. They're not choosing alcohol, they're choosing cannabis instead. There's studies that show that there's less drinking, not only adults, young adults. So I
I
know
love
I don't drink.
I know that again from Venezuela, one of the countries. I think we have even a Guinness record for drinking more whiskey than in Scotia. Like something like that. And I don't drink. People get like super impressed. It's like, oh my god, you're Venezuelan, you don't drink. And like, I don't drink and drive when I can smoke and fly.
Yeah.
As simple as that. And that is one of the side effects that, of course, also terrify the big industries out there because, yes, it's a lot of money. But come on, bring it all together. I think this.
Get into the cannabis game. Drinks, there's people drink the cannabis drinks now and stuff. Get
So
into it.
Yes, I love those. I love it. And
Yeah.
actually,
I wish
part
we
of the
had those.
process, yes, part of the process that they make me go into all of this, and when I started smoking again was again I was 35, and I was smoking what this doctor in Boulder was telling me, because but I was never against my friends to smoke. I was always impressed and kind of like curious of how all my other friends who have everything put together and only drink and did social drugs, they were all going to hell, honestly, with depression, anxiety, obesity, diabetes, like all these heart problems, like we were 35.
Hmm.
And I was seeing all these people that they were doing the right thing, okay? And all my friends who smoked their whole life, they were amazing, on shape, still skateboarding, still having fun, like going to the beach. I was devastated at 7 p.m. I was like, oh my God, the kids need to go to sleep, because I was gonna and I was the one who was falling apart, because all the amount of wrong drugs that we have inside, and we think that we're doing the right thing because they're legal. So again, for me, the education is the key, and I started smoking again when I was getting educated. It changed the whole
And
game.
then you figured out what strains make you feel good and not make you sleepy. That's what it
Exactly.
is.
And I also trying to teach my mom, write the first cannabis cooking book in Spanish in the world.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's cool.
But it was an accident. I honestly wanted to try to, like educate my whole family with the cannabis, because of course when I was start taking cannabis for myself, it was okay. But when I start giving cannabis to my kid, my whole family freak out. So I need to do
Yes.
this again. I need to get my research and my fixation of research deeper, and this is a testimony, and like a small contribution of what I can do for the Latino community. For this, it's a book that I write for my abuelita.
That's
This
awesome.
What
this
kind of recipe? Those are recipes? What kind of recipes you have in there?
You're gonna love it, because again, this is the typical book that you're gonna give to your abuelita,
Uh huh.
and we're gonna have recipes at the end. But at the beginning,
It has
it's all
education.
about the education of the plant. We talk about the terpenes. We talk about the molecules, or the every
Oh
cannabinol.
my gosh, we should use this book to make a PowerPoint presentation for your
I think,
abuela.
I think,
Cache.
I
This
think.
is the
Look,
book
my
that give it to
abuelita's
abuela.
already past the time that she can cook, but it's still good with education.
No, yeah, but we should make it
Yes.
I
for
think
her and
I should
then
give
feed
that to
it to
my mom
her.
and dad. I
And
should
let
give
me
that to
tell
my
you something.
parents.
Yes, and let me tell you something easier. If your parents have Kindle, is free on Kindle.
Oh, look it.
Mm.
So you can
I'm gonna give it to my dad and my stepmom.
you can get it on Amazon, and of course I will find you and I will send it and
Maybe
then
she'll
give it to
change
your
her mind about
parents.
letting my dad have gummies if she gets a little more education, even though I've told her a
Yeah.
hundred times.
And again, it has to be their own journey, and that's why
No,
it's
that
I I think
cool
it's also
about
in their language. It's a when it's in your language, it reaches you at your place. You know what I'm
yes.
saying? I feel like a lot of times that's the disconnect. If you see things
Mhm.
in English, you don't really
Hmm.
connect with it
You
because you
need to get
can't
it for
relate
your
to it.
mom,
But
D.
like this is,
Exactly.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it
Oh,
has
nice. Look
things,
at the
again,
drink.
I'm not against the alcohol or the drinks, but you can have, because the it's kind of like the idea of this whole book is that you start knowing how to do your extraction. What is your plan? So the recipes are the basic extractions that you will do in a lab, but you can also do it in the kitchen, because your kitchen is all about chemistry. Come on.
Right. Yeah, you
I
Yeah,
have
don't have
so
to be
many
under
that's
the
what cooking
tools.
is.
spectrum.
That's what cooking is. Yeah.
There's so
Exactly.
many
So
tools now too to
you have
help you.
sugar also. So after I teach everybody how to make the bases, and I'm not kidding, milk, like everything, I have some recipes like pequeños,
Ooh.
they are from Venezuela, or uh, squash soup. That is something that you can make for every patient, like or anything that you want. I also have the gummies, and I love, this is my favorite dessert in the universe,
Flan.
flan.
Oh,
Ah, I knew it. I saw it on
you
your
called
website.
it.
It's because I saw it on the website.
Uh,
I was like, she had a picture of flan. I was like,
The flan is my favorite dessert, and it's not because just the flavor, because it's also a dessert that you can do, and it's the most oldest recipe that we have. Every single country, wherever they have a farm, they have eggs, they have honey or something sweet, they have milk, they have a flan
yeah.
or a crema catalana or a quesillo. You call it whatever you want it. I have the same theory with the arepa, so don't worry.
It's true. Arepas,
for
flan,
real. Everybody's got their own
empanadas,
arepa,
empanadas,
empanadas. Oh, I wish there was like a restaurant that only made empanadas from
empanadas
all over
around
the
the
world.
world.
Yes, empanadas are amazing. But the arepa is like that, like I went to Colombia and I have flour arepas, and I was like, like
Flour
from,
arepas.
yes, like regular flour arepas, like trigo, instead of the corn
Yeah, I've
arepas.
always
Oh.
had corn.
And it was an English muffin. What are we talking about?
That is an English muffin.
Of course. It's like you realize that, yeah, they have water, they have salt, they have some kind of flour. Let's do it. And this is our bread, our cake, our arepa, our English muffin. In the United States, the Native Americans used to call it hoe cake. So we have every culture, like so. But I choose the flan because it was again, it's something that any country, any people, any abuelita will understand what I'm talking about.
See,
And
that's the flan that you gotta make for the next Thanksgiving.
yes, yes, let's do it. Why? We can do it for Valentine. I just make the shape of a
And then
heart,
a
and we
heart.
can and we can have a friend day for the amapolas.
Man, oh, flan. Instead of having like zucchini bread.
Yeah, that sounds
Delicious.
amazing.
Mi
I'm so
amore.
glad we ran into you so that we were able to arrange this. This was serendipitous, like you said.
But it's super blessing to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
That was our interview with Danielle Ceruti. That was a great time. I'm so glad that we ran into her and we were able to get her on the show. Uh, her cookbook. I didn't even realize she had a cookbook. That was great.
Yeah, and the wonderful thing is that it's in Spanish and English.
Mm-hmm.
Lo que sé, varias recetas.
Lo
Lots
que
of
sé.
cannabis recipes, lots of yummy things we were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she goes really into like how to create the base, like what base you're gonna use and stuff. She went into that really detailed. I'm interested in checking that recipe book out.
Yeah, and you guys can check her out on Instagram. She's at Cannalatino, or the website is cannalatino.com. Hey, thanks so much for listening to our interview today. We will
Yeah.
see you next Wednesday.
Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and check out our website, potsmokymoms.com. See you next week. Bye.